If you're digging on the reefs.
Right.
Sure.
And if you fish, let's say October, November, and December, everything that you're seeing, everything that we saw, especially were females.
Yeah, if you're trolling, we catch the females. Yeah.
So would it make any sense to be able to? I'm not. I'm just trying to say, okay, based on that scenario, is there anything that could be done to, shall I say, preserve? Because that's what's happening in Canada. Because everything we caught this year, because of the late spring, everything the first 2 weeks, everything were still all jacks. There weren't any females.
It all comes back to, are we female limited? Are we disproportionately harvesting females, and is a lack of females and lack of eggs limiting reproduction?
Well, I can tell you that up in Canada, there's no question about what's going on there because of what has happened in the past. I mean, they have fished some of these lakes to the point where they had to make drastic measures in order to preserve the quality of the spawn by limiting the size. And it's actually made more smaller fish, but in a lot of areas there'll be times where certain days or certain times of the day you will catch nothing but that 21, 22-inch fish.
I guess it all comes down to what minimum level of females do we need, and are we anywhere near that? And I'll guarantee you, if you poll all of our counterparts in other jurisdictions and also my coworkers, we're not there yet. Now, obviously, we simply don't want to get there, and that's what the quota system is designed to do, is to maintain safe population levels based on our model estimates.
Real quick, I mean, I don't want to take a lot of time, but what is Canada doing? What is the North Shore doing in terms of?
Let me just take a real quick step back and just say that if you haven't heard what we call the TAC, the total allowable catch, and the quota, how it actually works, this model I keep talking about, we estimate the population every year. Every January and February, everyone assimilates their data and it's run through a model, and we estimate standing stock of walleye in the lake 2 years old and older for that year. So in February 2009, we estimated how many walleye there were going to be in the lake for 2009. Based on that estimate, the lake managers, which is basically Roger Knight, my boss, his counterpart in Ontario, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, they're part of that Lake Erie committee, the LEC. They take the estimate from the walleye task group and they say, all right, here's what they told us the population is. Here's where we're going to set this TAC, this total allowable catch, as a safe level of harvest based on this being the population. So once that TAC's determined, each jurisdiction gets their piece of the TAC based on what we consider to be walleye habitat areas. So we get a little over half based on the amount of walleye habitat in Ohio waters. Ontario gets less than half. Michigan gets a small chunk. But after each jurisdiction is handed that quota, their jurisdiction's quota, they can hand that quota out however they choose. We choose to give all the walleye quota to sport fishing. We choose to give a portion of the perch quota to commercial fishing and a bigger portion to sport fishing. So Ontario takes theirs and gives the biggest chunk to the gillnet fishery. And that gillnet's bothered a lot of people, and superficially it might even bother me a little bit. But if I trust and believe my Ontario counterparts that have my positions up there, if they're staying within their quota and reporting what they believe to be true, and they are, they're reporting what they believe to be the true harvest, I can't, as a biologist, have a problem with it. It'd be no different than them telling us, hey, you can't sport fish. How can we tell them they can't gill net if they're staying within the Lake Erie committee bounds and within their quota and using every effort to do so? Would the lake be different without them? Sure. Would it be different without us sport fishing? Probably. In the 80s, we were over quota 7 out of 10 years. We as Ohio sport anglers went over our walleye quota 7 out of 10 years in the 80s. We were the bad guys back then. Do they catch their quota every year? Sure they do. But that's really only a recent phenomenon. They didn't back in the 70s and 80s. They were fishing for other stuff. So it ebbs and flows. And Right now, they're the highest percentage of harvest, but they're recording there within their quota, so I professionally can't have a problem with this.
Have we been meeting our quotas?
We've been under it, but as this quota gets lower, we get closer. 07 was the closest we've been in a long time. Last year, we fell back off with the drop in effort. This year, we're gonna be under it.
How was the effort this year?
You know, we've run a few months, and it's back in April and May. I don't have a real feel for how it's gonna compare to last year yet. I think it might be similar to last year. I don't think it's gonna be far under it. But last year and this year, we're well below 06 and 07 effort. Our catch rates in 06 and 07 were actually better than some of the years in the 80s. We had the good old days again, whether you realize it or not.
In your opinion, Travis, is it, you hear people talk about, oh, I'm gonna throw all 7 down the back because they have more eggs.
Yeah.
What pound fish is more viable?
So which fish produce the most viable eggs and contribute the most to the spawn? If you look at it purely from physiology, and does an egg from fish A and an egg from fish B, look the same physiologically? If you gave me an egg from a 4-year-old fish, maybe a 4-pounder, and an egg from a 14-year-old fish is maybe 12 pounds, physiologically I could tell you the difference. The fat content, the viability, the fertilizability. Ohio State just finished a whole big project. There is no prime age. All of their eggs are the same. And even within stocks, like Sandusky versus Maumee versus Bruce, that's a fallacy. And there were studies published from small Wisconsin lakes that did find like a prime, and it was like that 5, 6, 7 pound female that produced the best eggs. It's not true on your. All the females we looked at, all the size, lengths, weights, ages, they all produce the same eggs. But then you get back to, all right, well, those biggest females, those old fish that maybe in the past we thought didn't produce viable eggs, and they actually do. Well, shouldn't we protect them? Well, if you look even at high population levels, I have a hard time believing they're dropping the number of eggs that 4 through 8-year-old females are dropping. If you're going to say they're all the same quality, which they appear to be, just based on the number of fish in that 4 to 8-year-old range, they're dropping. Now, do those older females know how to better spawn? Do they know the best places? Do they know the best timing? Maybe. Of course, they're the same ones that have lived that long and haven't got caught, and they're still out there spawning. So they're probably the best genetics and the best into the depth instinct. You can go a lot of different ways with that topic and what you should do. Like that says, why would you harvest 2 to 8-year-old females when they've only spawned a few times? Why not take a 14-year-old? She spawned 10 years already. But you can turn that around and say she spawned 10 years. Why are you going to take her out now? I'll say this. If you're out fishing and you catch a fish and it's illegal fish during an open season and you're within your bag limit, if you want to keep that fish, keep it, because we say you can. If you have a personal ethic that says, I want to release a certain size fish, no one's making you keep it.
See, I still think, whether it's fish, human, otherwise, I still think, as a female, as I get older, I may produce the same number of eggs, but are they going to be as viable?
And with walleye, they are.